see what the problem was. It had been 2 years since I heard from them. And as I arrived and I told my story, as I was asked to tell my story about what had been happening in my life, as I finished this story, this woman said to me, "God has brought you here." And I said, what are you talking about? "No, I drove here because I was concerned about you." And she said, "God's brought you here." And then she told me the story of her husband, Richard, who had Alzheimer's and had overcome Alzheimer's through the miracle that our body can perform when it has proper nutrition. That was Relive. Well, you can believe what I did next. I got on the phone and tracked down Joe and Carol Felger and asked them if they wouldn't visit me once again, and they did. And the first night, and I'm going to tell you this specifically, in the first night, I woke up as I was my custom to do, about 1 o'clock, 1:30 in the morning. Before I would go down and I would pray and I'd read my Bible and I'd spend the time until my body calmed down, go back to sleep, or I'd go to work. It was getting light out, I'd go to work. That first day I'd had shakes, one in the afternoon when the Felgers arrived and one that evening. And I woke up and I got up and I relieved myself. I started to go downstairs, and I got downstairs and I said, I think I can go back to sleep. I went back up to the bedroom upstairs with my wife, and I went to bed again. The next day I took 3 shakes. I woke up that evening again, the next morning, I should say again, at 1:40 or so in the morning, went to the washroom, looked down the stairs, said, I think I can go back to bed. And I went back to bed. I didn't go downstairs. Next day, third day, I took 3 more shakes. I woke up that morning again at 1:30 in the morning or 1:40 or so. Thought, well, I'll get up and go to the bathroom. And I laid there for a minute and I said, I don't really need to go to the bathroom all that bad. I think I'll just roll over and go back to sleep. And it's been 18 years. I went back to the doctor, and at a 3-month appointment that he said, I'm not waiting to see you 6 months. I want you back in 3 months. So I came back in 3 months. I brought the Relive with me. He did a full physical, and he said, Earl, he says, I don't know what you're doing. You're better than you ever were. What are you doing? I showed him the Relive. He read the cans, the ingredients on the cans, and he said, well, there's nothing in here that's going to hurt you. But there's certain kind of thing in here that's going to perform these kinds of results. And he closed the medical exam book that he keeps on me. And that was the end of that. Well, needless to say, I knew what had happened, and I knew what the diagnosis should have been. It shouldn't have been stress. It should have been a nutrition deficit, because all I added to my life was the nutrition that came to me through Relive. And that made me well again, and I've remained well ever since. That, for me, was a miracle.
That's amazing.
But a greater miracle is that my mother had Alzheimer's, and I started her on a program with Relive, and she didn't regain all of her faculties back, but she came back to a point where she knew her family, where she lost her incontinence, and she enjoyed the next 2 years of her life. She was 83. She enjoyed the next 2 years of her life, and I would tell you that they were the best 2 years that I ever had with my mother.
How many shakes did she take?
And she could enjoy me and could enjoy our family and
how many
enjoy the life we had together.
How many shakes did she take, Earl? Okay.
But with those ingredients and with the miracle that God works in our bodies when our bodies get the proper nutrition, I followed Richard's example, and my mother followed my example, and I can tell you there's 100 other people that have followed that example and been happy. It's an opportunity to do good in other people's lives by bringing Relive to them when they need it. So I'm
That's
grateful
right.
for Live for what it did in my life, but I'm also grateful because it gives me an opportunity to do good for other people who are in need. My mother was, and as Richard was, and as I
That's
said, about
right.
100 other people.
And Richard was young.
Richard, well, he was 60. He was 60 when he
that's
came
young.
with Alzheimer's. He's
I guess
80
so.
now. He's still alive. And
I know.
went to
That's amazing, isn't it?
his birthday,
Wow.
Yes, it's amazing what it has done for him and for so many others. So
yeah,
I'll always
well, Earl, I really appreciate you being such a sport tonight and being part of the call here tonight. Now, do you mind spelling your last name and giving us your phone number?
I don't mind at all, and it's part of doing good is to tell the story, It's part of doing good.
I know.
My last name is B as in boy, Bowers.
Mm-hmm.
First name is Earl, Earl. I'm in Northfield.
Mm-hmm.
And, Kate, I'm going to give my cell phone number out.
That's no problem.
It's 847 638
638,
0380.
I sure appreciate you being part of the call here tonight, Richard. I mean, Earl. Richard.
Well, every time I get together, it's always a surprise.
Yeah, thank you again. I'm going to mute everybody now, and I'm going to have, it's a real privilege to have Jerry here. Hold on.
Muted.
Jerry, are you there? Do I have Jerry? Uh-oh. Let me
yeah,
open
I'm
up
here,
the...
Katie. Katie here.
Oh,
I'm here.
You're there. Okay, good.
Yeah.
I was
Go ahead, you unmute. I thought I had you off mute.
Okay, well, I am so excited that Jerry's here tonight to share with you what Relive means to him. Jerry Lafayette, I would have never met him if it wasn't for Relive International. He's part of my group here in Chicago, and he's an ambassador with Relive. So, Jerry, would you mind sharing what Relive means to you? I'd appreciate it.
Sure, Katie. Thank you for having me on your call. And like Earl said, it's our way of giving back because we've been tremendously blessed by these products. And as a result of that, we've been able to be a blessing as well. And this is my 20th year as a Relive distributor, but I've been on the product probably about 22, 23 years. And I used to manage copier technicians across the 7-state area with a major copier company. And all of a sudden, the economy changed in the early 1990s, and the name of the game was to lay people off instead of, lay people off to show profits, the shareholders a profit. And that just drove me into depression because up to that point, we did business the old way. You rewarded people for being loyal and coming to work every day and doing their jobs. Now they're laying them off. But by depression, what I meant by that was I was falling asleep behind the wheel of my car because I'm only getting 2 hours of sleep at night. And I would blank out mentally 3 to 5 times a day. I was just tired all the time. I was just a mess. And so one evening I stumbled across a Relive meeting and got on the products, and in 5 days that depression was gone. The 5th day I walked in the office and paperwork that had been piling up on my desk, I was able to it had been piling up on my desk for months, and I was able to get rid of it in the same day. And just my memory, it took me probably a few months to get my memory back, but I used to forget people's names no sooner than they told them to me, and I'd have to ask them their name 2 and 3 times, And after about 5-6 months.
How many shakes were you doing, Jerry?
Back then, I was just doing 2 shakes.
Okay.
And I was on Classic, Energize, and Fiber Store. And back then, the Fiber Store had just come out, and and just
That's
got
good
this
to
guy.
know.
Yeah. But I was, it was pretty consistent with it, and it really helped me because I was traveling a whole lot. And I moved to here to Chicago, got married, and my wife turned out she's diabetic. And in 5 months, she became symptom-free of diabetes. Our son, Michael, he was 8 years old at the time. He was able to get off Ritalin. It took about 7 months. My mother-in-law, Julie, who's from Traverse City, Michigan, got great results with debilitating migraine headaches for over 20 years. She'd been to the Mayo Clinic and the Pain Institute down in Detroit.
Wow.
And they could do nothing for her in just 4 months, from April of '96 to February of '96 to May of '96. she was able to, it was off her I forget what you call it, Imitrex, that she would inject. It was injectable medication for headaches, and the first time in 20 years. And then friends, family, and coworkers started getting on these products because you can't keep your mouth shut when something like that works. And we saw a coworker just get amazing results with multiple sclerosis, and that just shot our belief in this up, overnight. And then next thing you know, it just caught on like crazy. Friends, family, and coworkers started getting on these products, and we didn't have the money really. It literally drove us into business because during that time me and my wife were in the process of getting married. We were engaged throughout the whole period, and but as soon as we got married, we came in at top profit level. Didn't have the money because of the cost of our wedding and everything else, but we just put it on a credit card, and in 3 weeks moved all that product, totally recouped our investment, made $1,400 free and clear.
My goodness.
That first month. And then our friends, family, and coworkers saw that we were making money, and they saw that top profit level was the most cost-effective way to do this. And so we had about 6 people come into top profit level that second month, and we were number one in the nation. The company gave us a $5,000 bonus for taking first place. Plus, we made $3,200 in $3,500 in retail and wholesale profits, and plus we earned another $2,000 in bonuses by helping our friends, family, and coworkers earn bonuses. And our second month in we made over $10,000. And 20 months later, I was able to walk away from my job in corporate America. Me and my wife, we became ambassadors a few years later. And
how long did it take you to become an ambassador, Jerry?
Well, what happened, Katie, was we got started in 1996. In 2001, we became ambassadors. We had just given us that raise where they gave us about
5 years. Wow.
Yeah, but they had just given us a raise back then. All the distributors, when they changed the compensation plan, and that's when just everything went crazy. We thought we were special. Shoot, it was people all over the country. Were just hitting those levels, and they were doing in months what took us years to do. And here we were 5 years, and then we were in line behind a bunch of new ambassadors to tell our story. And these folks had been in the business 6 months, a year. And things like that.
Isn't that something?
Yeah. So.
But that's amazing because becoming an ambassador, it means you have 2 months in a row, $4,000 in residual income alone. I don't know too many people who do have that in 5 years.
Yeah, especially during these times. Yeah, especially during these times.
Yeah, that's amazing.
The exciting thing, looking back on all this, there's a lot of exciting things. It's the travel and things. We've been all over the country in different parts of the world. We've been as far away as Australia to tell our story and even to do master affiliate training schools. But I guess the priceless part about it is we lost count many years ago, but we figure somewhere around 4,000 or 5,000 people have been able to get their health back as a result of.
That's the main thing, isn't it?
I was telling a few people, and it's just when we started counting, it's the names. Thousands of people have, and some of the stories, just like you on this call, just are absolutely profound. What this product has been able to do for people, and it's paid us hundreds of thousands of dollars to date. Just we built this around our kids, and our objective was to have more time. Me and my wife. Grand Canyon and things like that, and in the meantime, we also have a lot of friends who've been able to save their homes, because of the recession that we've been in. They had to relive income, they've been able to, get their bills paid, not lose cars and things like that because of that relive income that's been coming in. So,
that's right.
Yeah, that's pretty priceless.
Well, tell everybody about what happened to your son. I think that's an awesome story.
Yeah, our son Michael. When Ann and I got married, Michael was 8 years old, and this was a child who was dealing with attention deficit disorder. He had gotten on Ritalin at the age of 4, and he was having a lot of problems. He couldn't focus in the classroom. Every month we were in the teachers, sitting down with the teacher, what are we going to do with Michael? And so we put him on the products in 1996, early 1996, and let's see, if by, oh my goodness. No, it took us 7 months, and it was like October when he came off Ritalin. But long story short, what happened was just initially we thought the product didn't work, but what I mean by that is that we were seeing some improvement, but it was still taking us 3 hours every night to just get an hour's worth of homework out of him. Okay,
right.
And what we discovered was that there were some other doctors who were using Reliv actually in their practice back then, and what they had in common is they had removed milk from the children's diet in addition to using Reliv, and that was what we weren't doing. And so we had Michael on Ritalin and Reliv. Then the very week we took milk out of his diet, all of a sudden the teacher called us. Oh God, here we go again, But instead, she said, "My God, whatever you're doing, keep it up. Michael's entirely a different child. He's appropriate in the classroom. He can work in small groups. I'm not having to correct him. He's actually a happy child. He's making friends. His confidence is skyrocketing." And
Wow.
took him in and with the contingency that, they weren't going to make any promises. If it didn't work out, just wouldn't work out. But Michael actually went through Special Forces training not long time.
Wow. That's an amazing story. I just wanted everybody to hear this story because that's the impact you had in your family, Jerry.
Yes. Oh, yeah. A lot of tremendous stories of things that have happened in our family. My dad, in 5 days, he had actually lost his eyesight because he got hit in the eye with a drain snake, that Drano on it, snaking out a drain. And he'd been on medications for almost a year for pain in his eye. And just 5 days on this product, he was able to get off those medications he'd been on for almost a year. I can go on and on and on.
That's the thing about this nutrition. How many shakes did your son take, by the way?
They were kids, and we had our kids on 2 shakes. We had them on the Reliv Now because there was no Now for kids back then, and the Energize.
Right.
We'd give them a shake first thing in the morning before they go to school, and then a shake as soon as they got home.
That's wonderful, though.
Yeah.
I think that's wonderful. That's great.
Yep.
Wow, that's an amazing story, Jerry. Thank you for being here. Now, do you mind spelling your last name and giving us a phone number here?
My last name is Lafayette, Lafayette, and my phone number is 630-461-3891.
I sure appreciate you being part of the call here tonight. Thank you.
Well, we're glad to share, Katie.
Thank
my story
you so
helps
much. I appreciate this. Now, do I have Lydia here? I might not have her here tonight, but I'm going to go ahead and share a little bit about my story. And if you have any questions, my goodness, go ahead and write them down so you can ask them at the end. I think we'll have some more time here tonight. But my name is Katie Dean, and I live here in Chicago. I am almost 70 years old. I'll be 70 next month. And I have 7 children and 8 grandchildren. My twins were born when I was 41 and my youngest when I was 45. And after that, I was in bed 24/7 with 3 pots of coffee to get me out of bed, 16 to go back to bed. Year-round antibiotics, one pneumonia upon another. If you sneeze in those days, I would get pneumonia in 4 days. I had no immune system left. And in spite of the 90 pills of supplements, many of them prescribed by doctors here in Chicago, California, Canada, and Greece, where I'm from, because my husband was a nuclear engineer and didn't leave a stone unturned to try to help me out, I was still on one antibiotic that was saving my life from pneumonias, and that's banned now. But here comes my neighbor, and she's 20 years older than I am, and she had one kidney and a heart pacer, and she told me about Relive, that in 3 months she had a new lease on life, and she said, at that time, Relive was like 3 years old, didn't have all the things we have today. They had only one product at that time, the basic product, and I got on that just to say I've tried it all, because I didn't think that Piddly D powder was going to make any difference to me. So I got on it twice a day just to say I've tried it all. Now I committed myself to 6 months because I knew it was nutrition. And I was very surprised the fourth day with the energy I got with just that one product. I continued that first year, and I did not need the antibiotics because I didn't get into bronchitis pneumonia. And the second year, when the Energize came out, I was the ingredient queen, and I didn't think I could get on it, but I got on it anyway. It's a big, long story. But my 3 weeks congestion shrunk to 3 days, and it felt like I was double scooping the basic product. It absorbed better. But it was the third year I started listening to people's stories like you heard tonight. And I got an education. I found out how much people took, how long it took them to get results, what kind of results they got. I found out that it was not like my vitamins. It was very different. It was like fuel for my body. I could not take too much of it. So I realized I was taking very little, considering all the depletion in my body with all these kids. So I decided to take 3 shakes a day. Instead of 2 single ones, I started to take 3 double ones, double scoops of classic with Energize 3 times a day. And my third shake at bedtime became my favorite because it went for repairs, I think, and I had a lot of repairs to do. And I became a morning person, first time in my life, and I was able to talk to my husband for a change, who got very excited about that, but he didn't want his name associated with some highfalutin nonsense company, as he put it. So he wanted to check the company out. He and I went together to St. Louis, where they have their international headquarters, and that was our first international conference, and he was very impressed with everything he saw there. And he was very impressed with the marketing plan, that it was a ceiling. There was no ceiling for that. It was the sky was the limit of how much people could make with this business. Anyway, a lot of things were very, very impressive to him. And I was happy he was happy. But I was very impressed with Fibersure that came out at that time to prevent heart disease and cancer. Well, I didn't think I had heart disease or cancer at the time anyway. But I didn't want, for prevention, I started to get it. I started to get the Fibersure with my Classic and Energize 3 times a day. Well, after that weekend, my varicose veins stopped hurting. First time in 20 years. They've shrunk since then. My hormones at age 48 finally became regulated, 27 days on the dot. I don't scream at the kids anymore, and they're very happy about that. And I've breezed through menopause since then. And my amnesia was gone. I had a problem of losing my memory every 2 weeks for 7 years from an accident 31-some years ago that left me with scar tissue in my brain, that left me with these episodes every 2 weeks. And if I was driving and I had an episode, I had to pull over. I didn't know where I was or where I was going until my brain came back to me 10, 15, 30 minutes later, depending on how tired I was. And if I was teaching and it hit me, I had no idea what in the world was I talking about. It was over. Well, I don't do this kind of thing anymore since that weekend, and that's been over 20 years now. And I was doing this kind of thing even the first 3 years on the product. But once I put the Fibersure in there, I don't do that anymore. But if you don't, if you can't fight a cold, like I couldn't fight a cold, and you turn into bronchitis pneumonia in 3-4 days, how are you going to fight cancer cells from multiplying? I didn't know a thing about that in that time. And it was, 17 years ago, last September, I think, that they opened me up to take my gallbladder out, and they found out that I had a tumor the size of a grapefruit in between my small intestines. They called it mesenteric carcinoid tumor. Very fast growing, very fast metastasizing cancer. Gave me 4 months to live, couldn't do chemo, couldn't do radiation. They wanted to do a very high-risk surgery at the University of Chicago Hospital, in which I had less than 50-50 chances of surviving it. They could kill me with metastasizing it to the liver, lungs, heart, brain, all over the place, because there was no clear margin, and if they cut it, they could spread it. They could kill me with infection because they would have had to take half the small intestine, hoping to clean it all up. And the biggest risk was the hemorrhaging, because it was surrounded and fed by big blood vessels to the heart. And if they nicked one of those, I'd be dead on the table. So with 7 kids and homeschooling at the time, every day counts when you do this kind of crazy stuff. So I decided I am not going to go through the surgery. It was too high risk. I'm going to take 6 shakes a day, loaded up with everything Dr. Carl put together, and it's not a recipe, but it was everything. Like half of everything in it. It looked like a pudding. And every 3-4 months I would do CAT scans to see how much longer I had with the kids. Well, 5.5 years later, I'm still alive, and that's nice. And in March of 2003, the CAT scan showed it had not metastasized like they said it was going to. That was nice, too. But it was still there. It was 30% bigger, and I thought, oh, my goodness, I'll never make it to the international conference. I think I'm going to die. So I went to the national conference, just like the one that we had in Charlotte, North Carolina, not too long ago, and just to say goodbye to my friends, because you make friends like this in Relive. So I went there, but you start talking to people and you get an education. I found out from the people that Dr. Carl had put together another product called ReverseAge to stop degenerative diseases, and I'm thinking in my head, what's more degenerative, man, than a good guy becoming a bad guy? Now that's cancer. You can't ReverseAge, only you have to take it separately from your basic product, because the basic product has got the protein and fiber, and you don't want to waste a good thing. So 30 minutes before and after I had something to eat with protein and fiber, I would take that. So I started taking double scoops of ReverseAge 3 times a day. First thing in the morning, 30 minutes before I took my last shake at bedtime, and if I didn't take that, you wouldn't want to talk to me the next day. And sometime in between, 30 minutes before and after I had something to eat, so I can absorb it better, because it works with your hormones, your hormone-producing glands, your chemistry. It's very different. It doesn't multiply good, healthy cells like the basic product does. It's very different. So I started doing that because I was so desperate. And in 5 months, the CAT scan showed in August of 2003 that it was now encapsulated, calcified, 0 cancer, and benign for the first time. Since then, all the calcification has dispersed. The tumor density has thinned out and shrunk away. The lesions in my liver and my spleen, as well as the small cyst in my kidney, they said from day one it's going to go there. Well, they couldn't find them in May of 2004, a little less than a year later. I continued the 6 shakes, loaded up with everything Dr. Carl had, plus the 3 double scoops of ReverseAge. 3 more years, guys. I just wanted to tell you this because I was thinking that this cancer was going to come back to kill me. But because I took so much product for so many years, 9 years, my cataracts that were diagnosed 12 years ago, I think it was now, they're nowhere to be found now. It's amazing. So nobody tells me these products don't work. With every new product that Relive has come up with, I have had results. I've had results with the new capsules, for example. 7259.
7259. This is Olive from Michigan, by the way, and I'm glad to hear Jerry's his result for his son.
Yeah.
He takes it. But I've noticed that whenever, I'm glad to hear about the milk.
Yeah.
I don't use milk here, but he does it at home, so I'll be able to tell her.
Yeah.
Because sometimes he doesn't want to take it.
I'm so glad Jerry shared a little bit about his son. That's a great story, I think.
Yes. I'm so happy to hear that.
Yeah.
Yep. So thank you so much.
You're quite welcome, honey.
Okay.
Anybody else has a question?
This is Velma Joseph from Dallas, and I didn't quite catch Mr. Lafayette's phone number.
Okay, it's 630. Are you there, Jerry? Okay, 630-461-6643.